show up with a trident and everybody else has got tridents, well, yeah, it's not the same.
One thing I like about it, because I see it on the Marine Recon side, and it's the same. I've heard the same over at the teams, is that you're able to have guys deployable right away. So when a guy shows up out of BUDS, out of SQT, or out of the recon pipeline, they're jump, dive, free fall, have a package under, like some shooting skills under your belt, and they can deploy right away, as opposed to
they're getting everything.
Yeah, sometimes in teams in recon back in the day, you'd be around like 5-6 years before you went to free fall school.
Exactly, same. I mean, you'd eventually get it in your first 1 to 2 years at a SEAL team, but you had to kind of wait in line, right? Yeah. And the one downside to it is there's a peer evaluation, before SQT, and you did STT at a SEAL team, then you were put into a platoon without your trident, and your platoon decided if and when you got your trident. They needed to make sure you matched the culture. You needed to get hazed a couple of times and see how you handle it. And they had to like you, and your personality had to match the culture and the guys that you're about to go do very high risk training and real world operations with. And if all that checked out, then you did a Chiefs board and you had a room full of E7 and aboves. You sat in a chair like this, and then they could ask you any question they wanted. What's the velocity of 5.56 round? 2,800 feet per second. How fast does deck cord burn? What's 1 kilometer on this map? Do that, blah, blah, blah. They'd ask you 1,000 things, and you had to answer them. And then when you passed that, then you got your bird, and your bird was done right. It was punched into your chest by every single member of your platoon, as it should be. And I feel like that piece going away has made a difference on the camaraderie and how well a platoon can function at the highest performance or highest levels possible. Yeah. Because personality matters. That culture and brotherhood that's built through that. Yeah. It's a big deal. And, and I think they know that now. It's been there long enough where people are probably just used to it. But when we were part of the transition, you could tell the difference. Tell the difference. And they would show up arrogant. New guys didn't know that they were a new guy. A little bit of entitlement. They've arrived kind of mentality. Yeah. When you show up and you're the only one without a trident, you're going to do anything and everything possible. You are truly a new guy, and there's new guy rules. You show up early, you leave late, you volunteer for everything, you shut the fuck up, and you keep your ears wide open. And that is your job from here on out. There is no deviation. When you show up with a trident and everybody else has got tridents, well, it's not the same. Yeah. It's old school, man. Back in our day. Yeah, exactly. Back when I was a frog, man. At the command, if there's any, they're gonna bring the best. Oh yeah. Capability that's out there to that command. Yeah. That's why they're the best in the world. As you know, there's an immense competitive spirit within naval special warfare. Yes. Right. So when the regular SEAL teams start to do something and get a little ahead of the command's not going to have that, so immediately it's like they catch up, and then they usually surpass by light years because of resources and ability. Resources. I mean, the command is one of those places where you can truly be a subject matter expert in anything you want that supports the mission. Yeah. You're not having to worry about a lot of administrative stuff. You're not having to worry about a bunch of collateral duties. You can truly be exactly the expert in whatever it is you pick. If you want to be the best lead climber in the world, then you will be the best lead climber in the world at that place. If you want to be the best breacher, you will become the best breacher. I mean, it is more money than God, and it's a good old boy club with big boy rules where you can go independently and get the best training you could ever get anywhere on the planet, and then apply it on your next deployment. I mean, it's insane. I think I mentioned it earlier that I had never witnessed that level of autonomy. It was
terrifying at first for me, coming from the Marine Corps. Then once I realized that they actually trusted you and gave you that autonomy to have the bandwidth to succeed, then I leaned in and I was like, okay, this is everything that a responsible like operator would want, and you to give you the ability to do it. Like here's a problem. We trust you to solve it. Here's the broad scope. Make it happen. And
well, and to clarify, when you use an operator, I never used that for myself. I was an operative there. I was a non-selected, non-green team SEAL sitting in a deployable operational billet. Yeah. And that is the most scrutinized position to be in when you are a non-selected, non-green team, deployable operational SEAL surrounded by SEALs who went through selection and
in green team, right?
And that is a rite of passage. That is the rite of passage for that place. But because I wasn't an assaulter or trying to be an assaulter, I ended up in that billet, and I didn't even, initially ask to go there. I was up at NSA and some guys down at the command had kind of heard about what I was doing, and they were like, "You're going to come down and do this stuff for us." And I was like, "Roger that." Yep. And, it took about 2 years to kind of build the trust with second deck guys, and then it became a little easier. But at first it was I got a big old target on my back.
I get that. Going there as on contract as a Marine and no green team. For my job, obviously same thing. So.
Well, as a Marine, you're not going to catch as much shit as I do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, seriously. You're having to try. That makes sense.
Yeah. I got to try it in. So they're like, well, why is he doing here?
You should go do team.
You didn't go through all that, 6 months to 9 months of hell like I did. You don't deserve to be here. And I would always go, you're right. I don't. I mean, I'm not trying to do your job though. And I was requested to come down. I didn't fill out a chat, a chit saying I respectfully request to. I didn't. They some Master Chiefs just wanted the experience really, because there was a lot of stuff they were getting involved in where, because of doing it at Warcom, I had the experience to help and be beneficial, or else they wouldn't have even asked me to go.
Yeah. Just for those listening, when we say the command is DevGru, SEAL Team 6. You on the other side, you also hear like Delta Force is the unit. Those are kind of the slang terms for those units. Yeah. At what point do you think that the acceptance came by proving the capability that you brought there?
It was pretty interesting. There was a transition moment that stood out. I had gone over. So my job was specific. It was clandestine methods of entry, which is basically knowing, understanding locks so that you can manipulate them, and knowing and understanding alarm systems so that you could bypass them. And the job was to get in and out of targets, and a target could be a structure, a vehicle, a vessel, or really anything. But mainly vessels, vehicles, and structures is what you concentrate on. I was one of two guys that was doing it, and one of the gigs I went on was to put a tracking device on an HVI's boat, right? And so a lot of creativity.
HVI?
A high value individual.
Okay.
And so this guy had ties to Somalia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Yemen. I mean, he was tied, he was wired, and he was high on the target list. So I was tasked with, putting a tracking device on his boat. So when it was time, after I did that, I flew back to a neighboring country. And once I got back there, then the assault team came in. And it was some of the guys from one of the squadrons. And I get up in front and I'm briefing them. I'm like, hey, so I'm showing them a PowerPoint. Here's the vessel. Here's all the things you probably should be, look for, be concerned about, blah, blah, blah. Here's the vessel's pattern of life, number of folks on board, the captain, any of any of the hands, just labeling everything out for them, and then said, hey, and here's where the tracking device is. Make sure you pull it after you guys get done. Okay. Yeah. And so one of the team leaders comes up and he's like, hey man, so where are you at? How do I get a job like this? I'm like, I'm at the command. I'm there with you guys. He's like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, holy shit, man. I didn't know we were doing this stuff. So it was,
That's the unique thing about the command, right? Everything's so compartmentalized.
Yeah.